Hello, I'm Emily, this is Miss Hiss, and here's an interesting question. Are corn snakes easy? So let's talk about it. Whether a reptile is easy or not usually depends on you. I've kept reptiles for years, so a lot of reptiles are relatively easy for me. Quick disclaimer, this is not a care guide. If you want any reptile, you should look at a care guide before getting one. Corn snakes are really long when they're full grown, so they need a lot of space. And like most snakes, they do eat mice, though corn snakes are pretty good about eating frozen thawed, whereas other snakes prefer live mice. They are typically relatively easy to handle, like this one, though sometimes they bite, like my other corn snake. My other one, often confuses fingers with food, so I get a lot of feeding response bites from him, and feeding response bites are more painful than the bites you usually expect from a corn snake because when snakes bite their food, they are using their teeth to walk it back so that they can eat it. So a feeding response bite would be them sinking their teeth in and then sort of walking your skin back by lifting their teeth and sinking them in further up. So that's why feeding response bites are more painful. However, the more common bites from corn snakes are tags, where they just bite and let go as a warning, and that just feels like getting pricked with a sewing needle. Snake bites also do tend to bleed a lot because of their saliva. When they are handleable, they are generally very cuddly, and they might try and crawl into your pockets or down your shirt like this one does sometimes. Whether or not they are handleable usually depends on how they were raised, but not always. Miss Hiss was raised by a breeder who had her in with a lot of her siblings and hand-fed each of them to make sure they were eating. So Miss Hiss is very handleable, partly because of that, and partly because she's just a very friendly snake, whereas my male corn snake, who I talked about earlier, Sir Hiss, was in by himself and got used to food just appearing in his enclosure, which is why he confuses fingers with food, because he learned that anything that goes into his enclosure is food, and we're still trying to teach him out of that habit. With a well-socialized corn snake, they could be considered a beginner reptile. However, with any reptile, you need to know what you're getting into. Their enclosures need enrichment, bedding, water dishes, and decor. And I say that any snake enclosure should be at least big enough for the snake to fully stretch out. Corn snakes also need to be handled somewhat regularly if you want them to stay handleable. However, like most snakes, they only need fed once a week. So as long as they have water, you can leave them alone for a few days to travel. Corn snakes are one of the closest reptiles to a beginner reptile, but with any reptile, you need to know what you're getting into, like I said. So, do you think you're ready for a corn snake? Remember, do your research before getting a reptile. Where are you going? Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!